Hey YouTube, it's Mel again. Back again, same day. Hair's the same, clothes are the same. It's literally less than a minute after my last video. But for you guys, it's going to be longer because YouTube takes a while to load things. Anyways, for this video, I'm going to be doing my video book review of Llewellyn... Llewellyn's Sabbat Essentials, Mabon, Rituals, Recipes, and Lore for the Autumn Equinox. You can see it's a nice red color. There's a raven, some wheat or grain, whichever it is. There's the back. So I'll start with a Thanksgiving celebration for the second harvest. Mabon, also known as the autumn equinox, is a time to honor the spiritual significance of harvest, sacrifice, and survival. This guide shows you how to perform rituals and work magic that incorporates the shifting balance between light and dark that reaches its pinnacle during the equinox. This book features rituals, recipes, lore, spells, divination, crafts, correspondences, invocations, prayers, meditations. Llewellyn's Sabbat Essentials explore the old and new ways of celebrating the seasonal rites that are the cornerstones of the witch's year. So I will say, the first thing that I noticed about this book is that there are a lot of things that I actually want to include in my book of shadows, which I'm planning to start one soon and take it seriously because every time I start one, I kind of stop. And now I want to actually focus and really work on one. But there are a lot of things from this book that I think that I will be including, just because, first of all, the list of correspondences is awesome. I mean, it's got, let me see here, just spiritual focus and keywords, magical focus words, suggested workings, astrological timing and associated planets, archetypes, both female and male, deities and heroes, colors, herbs, trees, flowers, crystals and stones, metals, animals, totems, and mythical creatures, scents for oils, incense, potpourri, or just floating in the air, tarot keys, symbols and tools, foods, activities and traditions of practice, acts of service, alternate names for Mabon and other pagan traditions, holidays or traditions occurring during Mabon in the Northern Hemisphere, holidays or traditions occurring during Mabon in the Southern Hemisphere, both of those featuring religious and secular holidays. It's also got a further reading list with more information about Mabon and the Sabbats in general, which I think is just an excellent idea, because if you have a Sabbat that you particularly like, or that you're having trouble connecting with, or that you feel like you need more information on, this is an excellent resource to give you an idea of where to look for further information aside from just online. Sometimes books just go more in depth than an online website or article. There's also the author's bibliography featuring all of the books that the author has referenced and used in the writing of this book. The tone of the book is very informational, but also, if I had to describe it, I would say it would be like an older favorite English professor or older favorite literature professor, basically talking about a classic novel and the way it came about and the influences of the time and everything. It just gives me that kind of vibe. So it's informational, but not in a boring way, in a more interesting way, and it gave, for a pretty small book, it gave me a lot more information than I expected it to. I really like some of the ritual ideas. I really like some of the invocation ideas. Sometimes I struggle with mood a little bit, and so sometimes I'm just not quite up to being joyous and happy on the Sabbats. And there is an excellent invocation that I want to go over with, that I want to go ahead and read to you guys, just because I really felt like it kind of struck me. And I really enjoyed it. I'm currently looking for it. Also, this book has a section on crafts that you can do and also things that you can cook, and they all sound, the foods sound pretty delicious, the crafts sound really fun, and one of the coolest things that this book does is it actually goes over the roots of how Mabon came to be. Originally, there weren't any. The Wheel of the Year was kind of created by, I'd have to remember their name. Let me see. I can't quite remember the name of the guy who kind of came up with them. I mean, he wasn't the only one. There were several people that... It is Aidan Kelly, by his own account, who christened the modern pagan autumn equinox celebration as Mabon. He was going through and taking pagan holidays or bits and pieces of them and kind of coming up with names for them because he wanted to give them a very cohesive kind of name system for the Wheel of the Year. And so by his account, he came up with the name Mabon, and I really like that this book goes and into detail about different rituals and festivals that Mabon may have been inspired by, that helped contribute to Mabon, that some of these are very similar, some of their customs have become a part of Mabon, and I just think that's a really interesting facet that it went into so much detail about all of that. It also goes into a lot of detail about the fact that we're now not as connected to nature agriculturally as we once were. So it goes into ways to celebrate Mabon in modern times, since a lot of people aren't farmers and don't live near a farm. So I thought that was extremely helpful, because everything else that I've read about the Sabbats is usually just focuses on kind of the old ways that they were celebrated, whereas this book interprets new ways that you can celebrate them while keeping the spirit of the old ways alive. And it's just really a good book. I really like it. It gave me so much information, and I'm still looking for this. Here we go. I found it. So this is an invocation to the dark night of the soul. This is if you just don't feel that you can muster the mood or be in the proper mood for the Sabbat. And not everyone is happy and joyous all the time, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to acknowledge the Sabbats. Just because you're feeling morose, you shouldn't have to just completely skip out or something like that. So I think this is really beautiful, and I think it really helps. So God or goddess, I'll just say goddess, makes life simple. I want to be grateful. I wanted to be grateful. I might even understand how your sacrifice has brought us here. As much as I want to, I can't feel it right now. I see the rejoicing, but my heart does not stir. I cannot even remember that time when it did. Right now I am in pain. It dulls the senses, dims connection. I can't even see you through all my wounds. I feel abandoned, ignored, hurt by you and by what surrounds me. I am unsure if what I seed has any reward at all. Will you return to me? Were you ever here for me? Is there something that needs your forgiveness? I need your love, goddess. I need your compassion. In this moment, I speak my truth. I doubt, I distrust, I hurt. I think it's really amazing that this was included, just because not everyone is 100% sure of themselves or their faith all the time. Sometimes you doubt, sometimes you're not happy, sometimes you just need to acknowledge that, because you can't, if you're just pretending what's the point of that? It's Wicca, and it's a very personal religion, and if you're celebrating the Sabbats, even if you're not happy or feeling thankful and grateful, even if you do feel abandoned and doubt, if you don't acknowledge those feelings, who are you pretending for? Who are you putting on an act for? You're just lying to yourself. It's better to admit when you have doubts or when something's going on so that you can work on it and get past it and figure things out. So just this book is an excellent wealth of information. There's so many invocations. There's information on the different gods and goddesses involved with Mabon. There's the crafts, the foods that you can make. There's, let me see here. It's just a lot of information in this book, and there are spells and divination, the ways to celebrate both modern and the way that they did in the past, and the information on the different festivals that happen around Mabon and that inspired Mabon, or that may have possibly be what turned into Mabon, such as the Harvest Festival in the United Kingdom. And then there's the information on what the different traditions and different pagan religions call Mabon, and other pagan autumn celebrations as well. And I really enjoyed this book, and it had a lot of information for me, and I really liked the tone, and I love the illustration that they use for the Wheel of the Year. And I think I'm going to add a lot of information from this book into my Book of Shadows, because I want a very comprehensive section on the Sabbats, and I'm really excited to have this. And just to give you an example, some of the correspondences are tarot keys, the Empress, the Hanged Man, Wheel of Fortune, the World, flowers, carnation, calm, healing, well-being, chrysanthemum, cheerfulness, marigold, healing, protection, sunflower, spirituality, wisdom. Like, there's so much information that you can get from this book just to help in your craft, to help you understand the Sabbats better, to help you understand Mabon particularly better, since that's the one that this is about. And I'm really excited to read this entire series, just because I feel like I will have a much better understanding of the Sabbats, which is something that I've kind of struggled with because I'm not really connected to agriculture. I'm not near a farm. I've never worked on a farm. I've never lived near a farm. So just having that modern interpretation of ways to connect to the Sabbat and celebrate it is really helpful to me, and it's kind of a more modern explanation and helps me better understand what the Sabbat is about and what it represents. So if you guys are interested in reading this, I will put a link to the Amazon listing below in the description, as well as the name and the author's name. And I think that's all I've got for you guys for this book review. I would probably give this book a solid 4 out of 5. So, highly recommend it. It's a quick read. Took me a while just because I've been under the weather. But I really liked it, and I think that's all. Okay. Blessed be. Mwah.